Cielo Drive guest house rumour. Now here's where it gets really strange. According to Hollywood producer William Belasco, Cary Grant was at the guest house at 10050 Cielo Drive on August 9th, 1969. He was supposedly visiting a young man he'd befriended when the screams began in the main house. Belasco claimed Grant fled in his Rolls Royce. Afterwards, he became paranoid, had his phone lines buried underground so no one could cut them, changed his number, even put $100,000 in cash aside in case he had to run. And the guest house is where William Garretson lived, the caretaker who was arrested that morning. So this rumour puts Cary Grant right alongside him. Yes, because in the book it doesn't name William Garretson, it just says he was visiting the young man at the guest house, and we know that Garretson was the one who lived there. This overlaps with theories we've discussed before on this channel. Stephen Parent, the youngest victim at Cielo, and caretaker William Garretson may have been closer than Garretson admitted. Tom O'Neill, author of Chaos, uncovered evidence that Stephen Parent was gay or bisexual and had relationships with older men. Some suspects they were part of what we've jokingly called the pool boy mafia, a kind of rent boy network that catered to Hollywood clients. If it's true that Grant was at the guest house that night, then he may have been there at the same time as Stephen Parent, and that casts Garretson's story in a whole new light. People have always had trouble believing this version of events, his version of events, the idea that he slept through the murders and knew nothing. Maybe the truth is simpler. He was protecting Hollywood, and perhaps was even paid to stay quiet. Yes, and why did this rumour stick? So he had freshly divorced, split from Diane Cannon in 1968, and was bitter, and it was a bitter and public divorce. There was a custody battle, LSD therapy dragged into court, defended as treatment, but also used against him. But that didn't actually happen until 1970. It wasn't happening yet. Emotional strain. He was 65 years old, anxious about aging, jealous and unsettled in love. And psychedelic fallout, still reflecting on the intense LSD sessions, ego death and disturbing visions he'd had. Lonely and vulnerable, no steady partner documented in mid-1969. In this state, Cary may have been likely to throw caution to the wind. That vulnerability adds a sliver of possibility to the Cielo Drive guesthouse rumour, even if his documented taste in partners doesn't match the barely legal rent boy scene. By the summer of 1969, Cary Grant wasn't the polished screen idol people remembered. He was a man under strain. His marriage to Diane Cannon had ended just a year before in a bitter public split. They were still locked in a custody battles over Jennifer, and with Cary's LSD therapy dragged into court and defended by psychiatrists but weaponized against him at the same time. At 65, he was deeply anxious about aging, still processing unsettling psychedelic experiences, and without any steady partner. In that lonely and vulnerable state, it is at least conceivable that Cary might have thrown caution to the wind, and that's what gives the Cielo Drive guesthouse rumour its tiny sliver of plausibility, even if it doesn't line up with his documented pattern of relationships.